Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here for episode 90 of the Friday Night Movie Club. It seems we're almost coming up on episode 100 on this show, even though I'm pretty sure 100 will still be a long ways away because of our erratic breaks and the complete lack of quality of films that we've been watching over the last several weeks. But we do have some people here joining us tonight for a movie that we're kind of looking forward to and kind of not looking forward to. Then after watching it, I think we all think we probably should just taking the week off. But let's go ahead and introduce our people here for the week. Our good buddy Rob Model is here. How you doing there, Rob?
Pretty tired, but not nearly as tired as I would have been if I had not watched this movie. So it was an adventure. It was an excuse to go to the movie theater, and that's about it. But that's okay, because that's what we do here.
Also joining us here tonight is our good buddy Rick Aragon. How you going? Hey, Rick.
I'm doing well. I've seen about 2.5 movies this week, and I'm a little run down, but yeah, I'm interested to hear what other people think about this landmark in cinema.
It was certainly an experience. We'll call it that. And also joining us for this episode tonight is our good buddy Eddie Brock. How you doing, Eddie?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm really just reliving my childhood and trying to really consider whether or not it was worth defending Lenny Kravitz my whole life. And his music and everything, because if I hadn't, we may not have been here today. So
I'm just gonna blame this on Lisa Bonet. I think that's probably the safest way to clear this all off. This is all Lisa Bonet's fault. Like she's been fucking up ever since what was it, A Different World, and now we're here. So this is all on her. Girl for it. We are here on. We are here tonight on 3 platforms. We're here on Rumble. We're here on Twitch, and we're here on YouTube tonight. Our good buddy Spencer is joining us from the jungle of Korea, saying movie night. Yeah, we're going to talk about this film here tonight. I feel like there's a lot to talk about, especially as far as this film goes. So here was kind of the thing. I almost wanted to do a movie night on this one. However, I saw that the show times, I should say, for the Crow movie and this movie were very, very erratic. I know that you guys maybe noticed this in your theaters. They didn't give these two films very many screenings this week. Like, it's a wide release, but it's almost like a limited wide release in that sense. It's like you're only going to get maybe 2, maybe 3 screenings a day, depending on which town you're in, which I found very, very odd. But then again, seeing the quality and some of the feedback from these films is probably not the worst thing in the world. But just real quick, we will be talking about The Crow in more detail on Tuesday night for the bar room, so you guys have more time to talk about it there. But let me go ahead and just give you guys a quick, I guess, little preview of that show. Who's seen The Crow yet? Who's actually seen the movie yet?
The new one?
Yeah, the new one.
I did.
I am not.
Because we all know you didn't see the old one because you don't see the old one in any of the films that we've actually watched here. But
It turns out that way.
His TMC membership is completely useless.
mhm.
Well, I need to have the special intro by Ben Mankiewicz to understand anything.
Ah, he does
Is
put
that a
things in
net?
perspective.
Real quick, is that a Netflix one? It sounds like something you'll probably find on Netflix at this point. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Leslie's also joining us here tonight as well. But the question I was going to ask is that, this Crow movie seems to be getting lampooned just as hard as Borderlands did just a couple of weeks ago. And this is, I think, like the second film in like the last like 3 or 4 weeks that has opened with like less than 10%, and it's somehow gotten worse as time has gone on. And I was just telling Rob not too long ago, it felt like that, this summer actually did give us some quality films that kind of like made up for like the first 6 months of the year. But it sounds like that time period is over. Like we're going right back into the turd bucket right now. Do you feel that way, Rob?
I mean, I thought this year was going to be rough, kind of as last year ended. I actually thought last year was a very good year. I know we talk about 2019 as being a good year looking back and everything, but I did think 2023 was the best year since 2019. Obviously, the pandemic and what's odd is we had the writer's strike last year, but because they had the movies already in the can, I guess it wasn't an issue, or some people couldn't go to premieres, but it's this year. I think this year has been has been affected by the writer's strike from last year. So I think that's definitely a factor, but I just think Hollywood has no ideas left. And I say that as like, if they ever did, because I've pointed this out, Hollywood since their inception has been unoriginal, has stolen, has taken any idea it can and stretched it and remade it and ran it through the old factory machine. So they can do it. Like they have a history, they have a precedent for doing it, but this is not the old studio system. It's a bunch of kind of new, I don't want to say new age, but like, it's Hollywood executives who don't really care. They don't even love movies. They want to be successful, but ultimately they have no feel for the creative process. And, to double down on this fact, the people making movies now, the younger generation, don't know anything either. So I don't know, unless there's something that drastically changes, it looks like it's headed off the cliff within 5 to 10 years, because it has not been a good year. I know there's been multiple productions that lost a shitload of money, that in their bets that people were going to go see them, like The Fall Guy, like Furiosa, etc. So it's, again, unless something changes with how things are going, it doesn't look very good.
Rick, I know you've constantly made the running joke that Argyle is the worst film of the year, when it's clearly not the worst thing that we've seen on this show this year. But where's your take on the way that the movies have gone especially this summer? Do you feel like that we actually did get better this summer, or you feel like we're just basically the same point that we were at the beginning of the year?
Well, I don't think we've gotten any better. Apart from, was it Deadpool and Wolverine? What film are people actually interested in, or watching, or going back to the movies again? What's going to drive people to go and see? I can't even remember some of the movies that I've seen, apart from Argyle, and I remember in a very negative way. But like what? Borderlands? Really, they sunk over 800 million? I don't know how much they sunk into that, with the expectation that it was going to drive people into theaters.
I think that the budget for the Borderlands movie was $210 million.
200 million. Oh,
It has been out about 2 weeks now, maybe almost 3 weeks, and it's only made 22 million worldwide.
That is bad enough, but there are people still on the film Twitter X that are still going on about how Furiosa is this turning point in cinematic history. It's best picture material.
There's some people who are really butthurt that film bombed. Like they're really butthurt about it.
Yeah, so there's just not an audience for a lot of these films. I think Rob has a point about the writer's strike. I think I don't know if this is a result of people rushing things into production and saying, okay, we need to make a movie. We need, we need to put something out there now. It's not resulting in very positive returns critically or financially. And honestly, The people who love the Fall Guy, why? Why?
Hmm.
Why? There's nothing there.
I saw Fall Guy like literally the first hour. I tapped out after the first hour because it was like there's nothing here. Like what was even? And keep in mind, like I actually like Emily Blunt and like no Ryan Gosling's hit and miss, but I mean those two as leads should at least carry a movie for the first 2 hours. The first hour was just bad. Like I couldn't get
Yeah,
through
it didn't get
that
any
whole
better.
movie.
It
Yeah.
didn't get any better, and now you can see it on Peacock.
Oh,
So-
good, because I can finally watch it now. Because I kind of refuse to go see it. Like if we were gonna review
They're
it,
not getting my money. No.
but
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on
Well, I
Peacock.
got Regal Unlimited, so it's like it doesn't matter.
They're
But
not getting
it's
my
like,
points. No.
You could
Yeah,
you
right.
could watch. It could be a double feature, Rob. You could watch Fall Guy.
I'm
and
basically
then-
going for the free soda points at this point.
Yeah.
I might
Not
do
even
the,
worth the
I might do
Pepsi.
I might do Cinemark now. But now you could watch Fall Guy and Back to Black. It's a double feature on Peacock.
Eddie, from the outsider's perspective here, because you would technically be like the normie of the group, even though that sounds very weird saying that in
That is
context.
weird.
But from your perspective, like, what is kind of your take on just like Hollywood this year, like in general? Because it feels like I think last year we were kind of saying that it was a rough one, and it kind of felt like maybe it was getting better, especially from like 2021. I think it was really really bad that year, but this one it's like you had a short little bump for the summer, and then it's just been stagnant, and it's like you're really starting to see just how the writer's strike really hurt these films. And honestly, I think it had more to do with just the writing in general that it hurt these films, because like a lot of these movies are just terrible to watch, even for like the normie reviewer. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Like if there's anything this movie suffered from the writer's strike in, it's too
Mhm.
many rewrites and trying to figure out what they're trying to say and what they're trying to do. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of movies. Like Rob said, I think the writer's strike really cemented a lot of movies to just drown, and it doesn't work anymore. Like a lot of these kinds of tricks and things like that don't work in cinemas anymore, and people are starting to get hip to it. I felt like when I was watching this, after 45 minutes, I wanted to leave the theater, but I couldn't because I'd be bumping into everyone's knees. Because for some reason, it was a packed theater for this. I guess that's what Zoe Kravitz brings to the table, which is good to a point. Um, but there is no benefit to watching any kind of movies nowadays. It seems like there's nothing. I don't absorb anything. I don't learn anything. I don't get anything, and all it is like this movie. And we'll talk about the that disappointing ending. It's all glad handing and ass slapping, and it's really really getting annoying that if this is what the new line of if the writers are starting to make things for nepo babies and things like that in Hollywood, I'm really really not in for this, because it was just like really like it started out okay and then so no thanks.
Yeah.
One thing we'll talk about this when we get into the discussion here in a second is that this film really just did expose itself in more ways than one, and I don't know if I'm not even going to give Zoe Kravitz the benefit of the doubt of believing that she's smart enough to have done what she did with this movie intentionally, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But yeah, I mean, here we are, or what, almost at September now. I mean, we only really have like one more quarter left of films left to go, and the ones that we really were looking forward to have kind of already seen, and we're just looking at what's left in 2024. There isn't anything that I can think of that would be big. I know, at least in our spirit, that Metropolis movie is getting a lot of talk because of essentially the war going on between Hollywood and the marketing like behind it, and how because it's a film that kind of is somewhat outside of the traditional Hollywood system, people are frowning upon it, which is only making people a little bit more interested. That doesn't mean the film technically is going to be good, but it at least has a story behind it. Outside of that, I mean, like I said, just look at next month alone, we have the Beetlejuice movie. We have the Matt Walsh I Am Racist movie, so there's some entertainment there. Transformers animated, that's great. There's some a horror movie with Halle Berry, and that's about it. And that's about it for the entire month. So it's not going to get much better until you get the Joker movie that's not actually a Joker movie by their own estimation. So that's what we have to look forward to.
I actually was impressed with the Megalopolis trailer that I saw. It's rare when a trailer piques my interest, but that one actually did.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in blind. It's something. This is going to be one of those things where, like Horizon was, where it was like, okay, I'm expecting it mostly to be this giant creative failure, but that's kind of beside the point. Like to me, it's more about the fact that it can exist, that you can put your own money up. And I think that's inspiring. I do, but Francis Ford Coppola is not what he was in the 70s. Okay, he's just not, and I think that all of that took some. Since then, look at you guys. If you disagree, that's totally fine. I have not seen a movie that even closely measures up to what he put out in the early part of his career, and that's fine. I mean, obviously, like, if you can do it once, you can be great. You know what I mean? I'm it's not an insult or anything, but I'm kind of just like hedging my bets with Megalopolis just because, it is a sort of grand sort of attempt at and
real quick question
that he put his own money up for it.
Real quick question, and I'll let Eddie go here. Did any of you guys see the trailer to Red One during the
Yes.
during this film in your screening?
Yes.
It's the Santa Claus movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Chris Evans.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was called, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
But how is that supposed to make me feel about watching this new movie that I'm about to watch? Where it's going the same kind of route too. That's another thing.
But that Santa Claus movie is a streamer. Like, there's no reason to release that in theaters. It's a bunch of it seems like a joke. 10 jokes a minute kind of movie, and
I don't know. This is trying to get Chris Evans to do more like family-friendly type material. It remains to be seen. I did see the trailer for that Dave Bautista one also, which is
which one?
Yeah, Dave Bautista has a new one with the girl from Kingsman.
Hitman. Something about he's a hitman. That's all I remember.
Yeah, they even got Drew McIntyre is going to be in that one too. So they got some kind of WWE connection going on there too. I'm telling you guys, it's rough, and I'm just looking ahead. Like, the only movie that strikingly intrigues me is a film. I'm not sure if you guys have seen a trailer for it yet. It's called Heretic, and it's with God, what's the dude's name? He's in all the Guy Ritchie movies.
That narrows it down.
For it.
Dude, I forget his name already. He's like super duper famous British guy. I don't know. That
Clive
doesn't fucking
Owens?
narrow it down.
I don't know.
Clive Owens.
Okay, I'll have to get it up here because I know I'm gonna feel stupid for not knowing his name when I see it. It's gonna be like right there, like in my face. Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant. Why did I forget Hugh Grant's name all of a sudden? But no, Hugh Grant is in a film, and it's like this weird, like, religious, like, psychological thriller movie where he kidnaps a couple of Mormon women and forces them to go through a maze, and they have to, in order to survive, they have to make choices based on, like, religion and knowledge, and it's really weird and twisted, but I'm actually oddly intrigued by it.
I was confusing that one with the James McAvoy one, where
See No Evil.
Yeah.
That one actually I've heard is kind of good, but I would be open to seeing it. I just it doesn't come out till September, so
I love James McAvoy, minus Victor Frankenstein, which was just unbelievably bad. But I'm always intrigued.
And don't forget the Book of Clarence, which is always also.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He was hamming it up to like the nth degree. That one, I forgot he was in that. But on the whole, I actually like James McAvoy, so I'm kind of intrigued. He's trying to do more of these horror films, staying clear of those posh masterpiece theater type productions. Oh, I did also see Cuckoo, and that was with Dan Stevens in it.
That one interested me.
That one was not good.
No.
Yeah, Hunter Schafer is a man, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. I don't ever let anybody forget it on Twitter, and everybody hates me for it, but it's just like, whatever. I don't care. It's
Who's
like
Hunter
I'm going to
Schafer?
state the facts.
It's
the girl at the center of the movie is a man.
Isn't he, she / question mark in Euphoria too? Isn't it another one from Euphoria? Shim. That's what we should start calling him.
It's Zendaya's girlfriend.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I just thought
It's
that
just heterosexuality with more steps.
I had no, I had no idea who this person was. I only recognized Dan Stevens as the mad scientist with this really odd German, some quasi accent, quasi
I'm
German
so sick
accent.
of hearing about that guy because everybody's like, he's amazing and everything he's in, and I'm just like, I don't
No,
care.
his issue is that he's trying to get away from Downton Abbey and trying to downplay
Oh, okay. I
how
didn't
beautiful
even.
he is. So he's picking all of these really awful parts. And he was in Godzilla, the new Godzilla Kong. He was the
Okay.
dentist, and he's in this. So he's trying to kind of downplay his looks and try to get away from posh productions. I don't know if that's a good idea. I think he's better suited for those, or at least not run away and try to be too extreme on the other side.
Hmm.
I'm
Well, yeah.
interested in I'm interested in Francis Ford Coppola's Megatropolis, and honestly, I think the most successful movie this year for the end of the year, and I think it's going to be the sleeper of the year of 2024, is going to be, of course, Paddington in Peru. You don't know the Paddington series. It is an unbelievably huge series. It's up there with any kind of Disney production, Pixar production. It's going to be a sleeper. It's going to be great, and it's going to be a
Yeah,
good
I
movie.
refuse to watch those movies, but yeah, I hear they're very good though. I do hear
Why
they're very
why
good.
do you why do you refuse? I just haven't gotten around to them.
Why do
If I
you
have
refuse
to
to watch any movie that was made before 1995, Rick?
Yeah, that's not true. I've seen many films made before, made
Mm,
after 1995, but I just never get around to it.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I will say this: the other movie that's it could be hit or miss, but at least it has the intriguing premise. I'm not sure if you guys seen that Mark Wahlberg movie where he hijacks a plane in midair with like two people,
The
but
Mel
it's like,
Gibson one, like the
is that the
is
Mel
it
Gibson one?
Yeah,
he's either in
yeah.
it or he wrote the screenplay to it, or I forget what it was, but I
Producing
know
it.
he's involved in some degree. But
He was producing.
I do
Yeah.
know what you're talking about. Yes.
No, I
It
don't.
was directed by Mel Gibson. So yeah,
Okay,
Mel
so it
Gibson
was directed by
this
him.
movie.
No,
Okay.
Mhm.
I've not heard of this, but given the fact that he can't act, I don't know why I would want to watch a Mark Wahlberg.
Well, yeah, it's him, Topher.
Mel Gibson 9/11.
It's him, Topher Grace, and Michelle Dockery, and like literally the setup is that
Oh,
he's an
another.
informant, she's an FBI agent, and then Mark Wahlberg is posing as a pilot, even though he works for, I guess, the people who are trying to kill him. So it's literally like a Mexican standoff in the air in a plane. So
Well, there's another Downton actress, and oh, she was in Boy Kills World, Michelle
yep.
Dockery, as was so was Bill Skarsgård in.
And
Oh,
apparently she's also the sister-in-law to Phoebe Waller-Bridge, which makes me hate her. So there you go.
I don't hold relatives against them.
Boo.
Boo. Well, let's go ahead and get into this movie because that's kind of, I guess, set up how exactly we got here. We actually reviewed this live on the bar room like a few months ago, and it was a movie. Obviously, we're talking about here tonight, Blink Twice. And when I saw the trailer for this, I saw it for another movie. It was like an A24 movie, and they played this. And when I saw it, my immediate reaction is like, oh, okay, they're doing Epstein's Island in a fictional movie. Like that's essentially what's happening here. The whole setup is that this guy, Channing Tatum, is playing like super rich, businessman, billionaire businessman. He finds these two girls. He's like, "Oh yeah, let me go bring you to my private island, and we can, go have fun and do drugs, and we'll have a great old time." And then next thing you know, people start ending up missing. Everyone's going crazy, stuff like that. And my immediate reaction was like, "Okay, this is just Epstein Island, and you guys are trying to essentially create a movie where this whole premise is supposed to be fictionalized, even though we know for a fact this actually happened in some capacity, right? Like you're trying to trying to work us into thinking that somehow this isn't a shoot. It's really what is going on here.
I don't care if you put Jack Dorsey up as sacrifice. It doesn't make me feel like the billionaire is going to be worth it here.
Yeah, exactly. So it got even deeper when we started to unravel this onion, because turns out this was written, directed, and produced by Zoe Kravitz. Now, I don't know how Zoe Kravitz got greenlit for a $20 million film for her first film ever up to this point, but somehow she made it work. Like I said, how she did that's you have to figure that one out on your own, but she did. And then on top of that, she brought in, all of her famous friends and Channing Tatum, who she's currently dating at the moment. So this is Channing Tatum's a big
That's
moment
even
to
stranger.
exactly right. Yes. And notice that, just
Why
real
did I
quick
throw that?
sidebar here. Just quick sidebar here. This is not the first time that we've seen this. All we've heard since Me Too is like, oh my God, the power dynamic in Hollywood, and like all these directors and producers are sleeping with these young actresses to get roles, and this is wrong, and this is bad. Now the female directors are just outright sleeping with their co-stars who they're supposed to be directing. We've seen this with Olivia Wilde. We've seen this with what's her name, Zoe Kravitz. There's even another girl whose name I can't think off the top of my head, but like she was literally doing a movie with like her boyfriend, quote unquote. So it's like now all of a sudden we're just normalizing these female directors sleeping with their co-stars and doing multi-million-dollar movies, and we're just supposed to be okay with it now because Harvey Weinstein.
Well, you see, now there's another connection between Don't Worry, Darling and
That's why I said that last night, by the way. I didn't know anything about this movie in terms of the plot, but I knew that, guess what? I knew Zoe Kravitz and Channing Tatum were together, and I'm like, oh, she's fucking the lead, just like Olivia Wilde was.
Isn't there
that's pretty funny.
But isn't there a particular age gap between Tatum and Kravitz?
I don't know. Zoe
It's
Kravitz
not
like
as
her
much,
mother, so I can never like differentiate them. I don't know.
Because I think she's in her 20s and he's 40s.
No. Zoe Kravitz is like 35 and he's like 44. Yeah, so it's like 9 years. So it's not nearly as egregious as like Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles in that other movie. But
I'm still picturing her from that Hunger Games. Probably, maybe that's what I'm confused.
Yeah, it's Spencer threw out another one we forgot with the Thor connection with Taka and Tessa Thompson, like trying to pretend like they weren't hooking up like behind closed doors too. So now it's just all out in your face, and this is what they're doing here.
And he's
now,
he's pretty much a woman, so that's why it's easy to confuse that.
Oh yeah.
So it's just there you go.
Well, remember I think it was like 2 years ago when the whole was a Will Smith Chris Rock thing happened, and he was filming the next Magic Mike movie with what's her name, Tootie Newton, whatever her name is, the first name. Tandiwe, whatever.
Now we can't say Tandy. It used to be Tandy, but she's
no, it's Tandy Newton. I'm not going to change it now.
No, it has to because justice, social justice.
You can't tell me what to say, but no. So remember, that the whole thing happened while he was filming that movie. They somehow got into a massive relationship ending fight based on the Will Smith Chris Rock thing. She left the project, and then at the last minute they replaced her with what's her name, Salma Hayek. Yeah, that chick. Yep. But so replaced her at the last time with that. And then keep in mind, they kept her biracial daughter in the film. They didn't bother to recast her. So all of a sudden, Salma Hayek was supposed to be like the mother of this clearly biracial woman throughout the whole thing's so stupid. But yeah, this is what happens when he's in charge of a movie. And now he gets to somewhat be in charge because his girlfriend or his fiance is the writer and director of this film. So now we get
co-produce. Isn't he one of the producers?
He co-produced this one, so I'm pretty sure one of his production companies was involved with this one too. So, like I said, he had a little skin in the game here in more ways than one. So this is how we ended up getting this lovely crafted film, Blink Twice. And here is my immediate reaction to this movie, and we'll start digging it away piece by piece as the show goes on. Here is that. Of course, the concept of this movie is supposed to push this Me Too narrative that we've seen in many, many films now over the last 8 years. And this whole thing about we need to tackle the male oppressive patriarchal system that preys on these young women and forces them to do things that they don't want to do. And it's all about giving the women the power in here and whatnot. And as you go deeper into this movie and the movie starts to reveal itself, you realize this is a perfect allegory of the entire Me Too movement, because at face value, it's all about, these women who are horrific things are happening to them behind the scenes, and it's these powerful men who are doing it. So instead of, destroying the system that allowed these men to take advantage of these women for so long, they didn't actually care about the women who were being abused. They just wanted to be the ones in power. And this is all what this whole thing is. It's just a big giant power grab, right? Because our character, I'm not spoil it just yet, but our character towards the end of this film has an opportunity to quote unquote make things right. And instead of doing that, she's like, no, know what? I'm going to take the keys of this evil machine now. Now I'm going to be, because girl empowerment. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I knew you guys were completely full of it here, but now you guys just confirmed it to me that you're absolutely full of this. Rob, I'll start here with you. What was your thoughts on on, I guess, some of the central premise of this movie of, hey, let's just get a bunch of bimbos over to an island and have sex and do drugs and a whole bunch of things you probably won't remember. What did you think, at least the setup of this film?
Yeah, I actually liked it. I like. I don't know if I'm naive, where I don't necessarily connect it to the whole Epstein thing. Like it took me a while to kind of see the connections to it. But look, my favorite author is Bret Easton Ellis. He writes about rich people getting up to debaucherous things, parties, freebasing, like having sex with young prostitutes. Like it's
Sounds like my kind of guy.
rich people doing depraved shit, and being soullessly empty because of it. And so I find that kind of interesting. And yet this could have been a very interesting kind of movie. And it's almost like, hey, we need to make it different enough from the whole Epstein Island thing. But in doing so, you make your movie completely uninteresting. You make the most basic, the most sort of reductive version of that kind of like story of exploitation. And that's the whole thing, is like, we'll get to the end. I'm not going to jump ahead here, but it's like you can't benefit off of the system of exploitation and be the good guy. It doesn't work that way. If people are being exploited, you should point that out. That's corrupt. That's literally corruption. And, being a moral person means calling that out, not benefiting from the exploitation yourself.
If I was doing a murder for hire ring and I was suckling people in to be brutally murdered, and then I had an opportunity to shut the stream down, and I was like, you know what? I want to be the charge. I'm going to pick the people who gets brutally murdered from now on. I'm the hero of this story. It's like, no, that's not how any of this works. You're just as bad as the rest of them, you idiot. Rick, what did you think of the concept of this movie?
I did not accept it from the get-go. I thought, I don't care how rich and powerful you are. I'm not going to go off to some mysterious island with people that I don't know, and just almost a whim there. That's just not good. It's like getting into a car with someone that you've never met. You don't know where you're going to go. You don't know where they're going to take you. And the fact that they did it and thought that this would be a good idea makes me question their intelligence. As the movie goes on, there are other points of logic that maybe you guys can address that I thought, no, that doesn't quite make any sense. But it was nice to see Haley Joel Osment, back. He's making a comeback.
Is he though? I mean, he's been around and stuff, but I mean, first of all, didn't you have to actually be somewhere to come back to it?
Well,
Gina Davis too, like.
Yeah,
the Beetlejuice sequel is about to come out, and she's not in it, and I'm like, why? Come on.
No, I mean, when I was watching, it's like I wrote down, is that Davis?
Yes.
It's like, and then is that the guy who was in some sort of porn movie? Was it Simon Rex? It's like they look familiar, but I wasn't sure. So I was like, do I know these people? And I was trying to figure out who either of the two leads were. I don't think I've ever seen them. If I have, I have no idea.
The second is Alika Shawkat, who was in Arrested Development and a few other things. But maybe.
I just called her Maybe the whole movie.
Yeah.
Maybe who somehow has gotten like aggressively more Middle Eastern as she has aged. Because she. I mean,
she's very
I know
Jewish,
she's like.
She's cute though. Still, I like the.
Or no, is she like? Well, yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, never mind.
I'm sorry. I just assume every actor in LA is Jewish. Because a lot of them are, but it's true. It's you could just have a rare non. Hey, look, you throw a rock and you make a splash. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't actually throw a rock, because that's a hate crime.
All I'm saying is, if I throw a rock, somebody's saying "ow." That's all I'm saying.
Don't take my gimmick. What a terrible beginning this movie was, and like when you watch it, like as you're watching it, I can see every single influence that Zoe Kravitz tried to put in this movie. Like I know she binge watched a whole bunch of like psychological thrillers, and during the pandemic, and so I'm pretty sure this is like a pandemic movie also, where she was just trying to write down everything. And also during the pandemic, there was all the tropes that were coming out about the Epstein Island and everything else. So that's another thing. It just felt like another pandemic writing kind of movie, because I'm like watching it. I'm going, oh look, the opening to Fight Club. Oh look, I just called her Jackie the whole time. I'm Jackie's internal misogyny. She's going through the screen. She's taking a shit. Oh, look at that. Just why would you start off a movie making me think of Fight Club if your movie's not going to be Fight Club? I don't know.
So there's a lot going on here with this film. Like, so we'll talk about the Kravitz connection here in a second. By the way, just in case you guys didn't know, this is a historical fact. This movie was originally supposed to be called Pussy Island, and then I guess they realized that that's probably not going to do well with marketing and actually like getting people to buy tickets to a movie called Pussy Island. So it's like, okay, let's just call it Blink Twice, because that's a good substitute for that one, right? So
that
Sounds
made
like
me
a Grand
think of.
Theft Auto like parody.
Is it
you know
called
what I mean?
Blink
That's a
Twice?
movie.
No,
Is it
I
called-
was thinking more of that alleged group that was it Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire made. What was it called? The
no, they're the little
Aussie?
clique of people who just banged actresses throughout the entire 1990s. Yeah,
That's what I thought when you said Pussy Island.
yeah. And then what's the girl's name? The girl who played Jessie from Saved by the Bell had to totally pretend like she didn't sleep with all of them.
Oh, the one from Showgirls. Elizabeth
Yeah.
Berkley.
Any given Sunday. Yeah, Elizabeth Berkley. There you
Yes,
go.
Elizabeth.
There we go. And another Jewish name, but that's a whole other conversation. Back to the movie here. So
like I
the
said, you
whole,
can't throw a stone.
I don't think
Nope,
Mario
don't do
Lopez is
that.
Jewish. Just throwing that out there. I don't think Mario Lopez.
Yeah,
is
probably
Jewish.
not.
so the whole setup here is that you have two girls named Frida and Jess who are cocktail waitresses. I don't know if they mentioned the exact city of this is supposed to be, and I just assumed it was some kind of like New York offshoot, or it really doesn't matter. It's some progressive turd bowl where they like sleep in a 500-foot apartment that's they pay like $5,000 a month for. It's not one of those type of cities, but obviously Frida here has a dream of living a much better life than the one she currently lives. So she's one of these people who I like to call terminally online, because she literally just sits in a dark room scrolling like Instagram and looking for like TikTok stories and looking at, oh my god, here's this billionaire who happened to have some kind of entanglement in the past that it's never directly reference to, but it was some reason he had to say that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do some therapy and look at myself. I'm like one of those like typical like BS apologies. So she goes to a benefit or some kind of charity event, which I assume the charity event was for the Legion of Doom, because everything about this entire room that they were in was just as evil as you can possibly get.
Well, it
She
goes
was
from
working
all white to all black. It's a very
She was working
interesting change.
She was working the Eyes Wide Shut crowd that night.
Exactly. I mean, it's an all white room with like this like gothic like Catholic church like art that's just around the place, and they got these bright red tables sitting around there of everyone in their suits. It's like you couldn't be more Illuminati evil if you possibly tried, and everyone's like, "Hey, day job's a day job."
The benefit takes place in a very bright white room, and then the after party or cocktail party is in a very dark room. That's where she trips.
Mhm.
So I thought that was an interesting choice.
Don't forget to
But
smile, ladies.
Right. And
Yeah.
Don't forget, she also likes Samuel L. Jackson because she has a bad motherfucker pin on her backpack.
Yes.
And so I called her Jackie the whole time. So and then she goes off about the boyfriend and she goes off about Maybe's boyfriend. Like apparently they're having a fight, and so she goes off and she turns into Jackie's internal misogyny, and starts, "Oh, the man, don't you understand? You have to defend yourself." And like the minute I saw that, I was like, okay, I kind of know where this movie's going to start going now, and I don't like this. Is this why the trigger warning was at the beginning of the movie? Like, am I going to be triggered by that?
Was there? I didn't see a trigger warning at my screening.
You didn't get the trigger warning?
Yeah. I got
did.
the trigger
I
warning.
did.
No, what I got was Channing Tatum telling us to turn off our cell phones.
Oh,
He's so
Okay,
gay.
you must have went to like the official screening, and that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I
But
went to
no.
an early screening.
Yeah. So that makes far more
Okay,
sense.
Yeah.
But
Going on real quick on what Eddie said, the line I got was "Stop giving away your power," which I thought was a very odd phrase to use in the conversation. That doesn't sound
Political
like,
activism.
what exactly is your power, ma'am? What
And
power
she-
are you talking about?
that
And
doesn't
she
sound
has-
like
and
actual
she has-
dialogue. It doesn't sound like
And she has
something
Will
people would
Smith's
say.
haircut. Will Smith. I can't remember Will Smith's wife haircut. But she
Jada
had Will
Pinkett.
Smith's wife haircut, Jada Pinkett Smith haircut on her.
Yeah.
Don't you give away your power and everything. I was like, oh my god, this is Is that Jada? Okay.
I love that feminist garbage of like, we have the pussy, we have the power. It's like, you do realize we can just leave you, right? Like you do realize that that's an option.
You realize we can just drug you, right?
Well, this movie, that's exactly what happened. No, so there are a couple of things that I noticed early on in this film. It's like, one, you have the two main characters here. I'm not even gonna call them protagonists because they're really not, but the two main characters in this film where in the beginning they left it very, very ambiguous if they were like actually like dating or not, because they're both in the same apartment with each other. They're both talking about how they love one another, but they're both having separate relationship issues with like other people. So it was kind of left to the imagination of the audience about whether they were actually, munching carpets with one another. I guess that's a toss up there. And then, as Rob mentioned too, all of the little microaggressions, as they say, were in this film. It's like one of the guys who was at the benefit was walking past ladies like, "Hey, lady, smile," because apparently telling a woman to smile in Hollywood is like basically calling her the N-word. It's like, it's just the one thing that you don't do, and they just want to let you know how much it really bothers them by telling them to smile. It's like, well, I mean, if you just look like a mumpy, grumpy old bitch the entire time, it's like, yeah, you don't look very presentable when you're supposed to be like a waitress.
Well, look, yes, if they're going to be serving, who's going to really want to be served by someone with a scowl? I mean, at the Alamo where I went, they have the servers. The servers there are smiling because they want, they probably want good tips. So yes, when you're in the service industry, it helps to smile regardless of your gender. So yeah, just throwing that out there. Seems strange.
And that's why the best service people are gay dudes in LA. So let's just remember that.
Yeah. Well, I actually wrote in my notes. Was that Gina Davis? I actually wrote that in my notes.
Yeah.
I did too.
Well, we'll get to Gina here. Yeah, we'll get to go. Well, I was surprised about her. Well, we'll get to that here in a second because that's a whole other situation. So the whole setup here is that Channing Tatum's this rich billionaire guy. He just so happens to run into the black girl, and it's like, oh, he's so infatuated with a pretty black girl. He says, "Hey, do you and your friend want to come to me on my private island for a few days?" It's like, where's your private island? It's not important, but do you want to go there? And here's the first thing, right? And this is the same thing with like Hollywood. It's like you're trying to present these women as victims here. And here's what I mean by this. It's like you're trying to pretend like that these were just women minding their own business that got taken against their will and thrown on this island, forced to fend for themselves. Now, that's not really like what happened here. You had a couple of girls who were infatuated by a billionaire who was all starstruck and the pants halfway off. And then all of a sudden the billionaire guy goes, "Hey, you want to come to my private island that I have?" It's like, oh my God, you got your own island? Yeah, sure. We'll just run away with you. We'll just jump on the plane. We don't even know what part of the world that it's in. We'll just go there. And then, so it's a situation here where even if something bad had happened, which it did, that you wouldn't even be able to tell anyone where you're at. It's like, oh, help me. They're killing us over here. Where are you?
It's like you're not helping yourself. You're not helping yourself at all in this situation where it's like you're basically putting yourself in a situation where you have everything. You're not asking any questions. Like there is no such thing as a free lunch. And so this guy is basically being like, "Oh, hey, do you want to come be my guest?" And it's like, "Gee, do you think he's going to want something in return?" Because there's those signs of flirtatiousness and whatever, but it's just, and then there are these.
He's not bringing you to the island because he wants someone to play Mario Kart with him. That's not the whole reason why you're being brought there.
But there are these gaps in time, and obviously weird stuff starts happening. But it's just like, did you not think that this was going to happen? Or
I was more hung up by the idea that these two girls just left their jobs, even though they're struggling financially, just to run off on an island with people that they've never met.
They're going to be evicted by the time they get back. It's like, that's no big deal.
I thought that was such a strange thing for them
by the
to
way,
do.
I know I mentioned this, that I watched these TikTok like dating videos. These are the kinds of women that are on there, by the way. Women that like at a whim would just be like, "Oh, sure, I'll go." And, like, who don't want any responsibilities. By the way, just anyway.
But that's the thing, though. It's like even same thing with Hollywood. It's like, how did all of these women end up at the Four Seasons Hotel on a Saturday night with some creepy director who's like, "Hey, you want to partner in my next movie?" And it's like, this is where the account. This is the accountability part of the whole thing comes into it. Like I said, it only perfectly represents this point later on in the film. It's like it's not the system that they have a problem with. It's the fact that they're not in control. If they're the ones pressing the buttons and pulling the levers, they have absolutely no problem whatsoever with the system. They'll do the exact same thing that the men were doing. They were complaining about the men doing now. It's like, oh, these men are making us like sleep with them in order to get roles for movies, and now we just have female directors sleeping with their co-stars for the movies that they're doing now. And it's like, oh, now it's okay because the power structure has been turned around. Like, really? Is that what we're doing now? Like, no, I don't think that's how it works, lady.
I just enjoyed the fact that they tried to like make it seem like it was a true romance kind of a thing, you know?
Mhm.
Like, oh, she gets I'm Jackie's husbando experience. This is great. Oh, she's gonna feel
Yeah.
great. She's gonna go live on an island somewhere with the guy that she's always
She's kind of
stalked
obsessed.
online.
You know, she's kind
Yeah,
of
she
obsessed
stalked
with
her-
him.
Stalked the guy online. Oh,
Yeah.
I knew you have a private island. He's not going to invite us to his private island. Oh, shut up. We might do it. Shut up, maybe. He's not going to invite us. You ladies want to go?
I had a hard time believing that Slater King would be so infatuated with this person that he just
Slater
met.
King. Great
Yes.
name, by the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Like,
maybe
it's one of those John Fist type names. It's like it don't even bother trying to make it sound real.
Especially when you have an actual Slater later on in the movies.
Yeah.
so. A big problem that I had with Frida's character was that she just kind of goes along with everything. She
Mhm.
does, and because of that, there is really no character that ever develops. She's, and I get that she's like acting as the camera, so to speak. She's the stand-in for the audience, taking in this world, taking in this island,
Yeah.
all this stuff. But who is she? Why do we care about her?
I think
Them being
early
a
on,
victim, that's not enough of a reason,
well, early on, I think what they were setting up here, like I said, whether she did it intentionally or not, but they were setting up her that this girl is only driven by power. Like I said, understand, she's our main character, she's our protagonist, but she is not the good guy any stretch of form here. You see her right away, like I said, living online, living through Instagram and social media.
Yeah.
When she goes into her job, she's playing James Brown, the boss music, letting her know that she wants to be the woman in charge, and one day she just
the
dreams of
main
having
character.
control. Exactly right, and now she's
Main character syndrome.
so even when she's on the island here, in her mind, it's like, oh, I have this billionaire tycoon who's just absolutely infatuated with me, and maybe one day we'll be a thing, and I'll be sitting next to him in his throne, and like this is the mentality that she has like in her head the entire time. So she's so blinded by power, she's missing literally every single red flag imaginable. Anyone else could have figured out something wrong was going on here several days before she did.
I actually wrote down in my notes, to be honest, I find Frida to be the creepy one. Because,
Maybe
with
was such the
big
most
teeth?
relatable character.
well, not just with the big teeth, with her kind of
With the straight hand gap.
with
Yeah.
with her fixation on Slater King, with her insistence on pushing her friend to stay even though she doesn't want to, her
Mhm.
willingness to just abandon her life such as it is for this endless parade of hedonism that I
Mhm.
found pretty boring. I thought, no, this woman is scaring me. I was like, I would not be so besotted with her that I would sweep her into my magical island. I would be like, I want this woman banned. I want this woman with a restraining order because I just find her unlikable.
And that's the thing too, like for a guy who has his own private island, like I know like there's a reason for this setup, but it's like literally all they do. So once they all get to the island, we get introduced to all the characters here. It's just people who he has invited. Some of them are his inner circle, some of them are not. And it's
Zach
literally
Galifianakis show up. I don't know.
just randomly.
Zach
But no,
Galifianakis was in the middle of the thing. I don't know how.
literally all they do on the island is that they get there, they eat some douchey rich people food, they take drugs, and they just run around frolicking like in the grass like for hours on end. And then they wake up the next day, then they do the exact same thing over and over and over again. It's like you have a private island and this is what you do with it. Like literally you get in your own island anywhere in the world, and all we're going to do is, hey, we're just going to eat, do drugs, and then pass out.
Yeah,
in the sleep.
I did think that I was finding the endless hedonism boring because it's like
Mhm.
that's all they do. I mean, we get endless shots of the drinking and the drugs, and
But you don't
not,
understand.
I mean, not so much like wild.
And
sex.
honestly, But here's the thing, just real quick. That should have been the biggest red flag of it all, right? That you're on a private island with all these women and all these men, and for at least the first 2/3 of this movie, no one's having sex with anyone. That should have been the biggest red flag. There's something wrong here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit though, seriously though, because it's like,
You're supposed
why
to be-
are you doing like this? Is I'm not gonna be like this. This is why people go to private islands and like do.
They go-
But it's like to be hedonistic, to sort of like let loose, to like let go. Like
No.
that is a very common sort of thing, and so it is kind of weird that that's not happening. And that, but then you have the whole like snakes and like, oh hey,
Yeah.
there's this weird flower. And like, you know,
And
by the way, done the most obvious fucking way in terms of filmmaking techniques, how
Yeah.
to use the camera. It's just in the most obvious, blatant way that was just like hitting
you
the
know-
audience over the head with it too.
And
You
you
don't
have very
understand.
creepy servants running around.
Right.
She
With
Red,
watched,
calling her Red Rabbit.
Red rabbits.
she watched a lot of Stanley Kubrick docudramas and documentaries, and she
I
learned
gotta
his
be-
techniques.
Well,
And
you know,
I
all
gotta
this
be
stuff and
honest
everything
here.
else.
I gotta be honest here. This movie is a bit racist in the context of, like I said, the help of the island. They're only creepy in the context that they can't speak English. Like that's
No,
like I said,
my-
they only speak in like broken English the entire time.
Well,
Like she's like Freda's trying to like try to like conversate with like this old, like I don't know if she's Native American or Asian, whatever the case may be.
She's Tongan, she's Samoan.
Yeah,
I thought she
but-
was. I thought she was like Hispanic.
That's what.
No, she's
we're
all the
alike.
things.
Yeah, she's multi-colored.
I actually, when I didn't hear Red Rabbit, the first time I heard Red Robin, so I was like, oh, I'm now getting hungry.
I heard red
Mhm.
rum.
I heard Red Rat. I heard
It's like literally like it's just like an allegory to like her Mexican maid who just doesn't speak English, and every time she has a conversation with her, she just like says like one word in English and then walks away like all creepy and shit.
What's your name? Who are you?
Oh, so no comprende. Then just walks out of the room.
Red Rabbit. Red Rabbit.
Mm-hmm. El Diablo.
Do you
It's
know
like-
how to get out of here?
Mhm.
Vieja payasa. I would have just called her Vieja payasa.
So like this is basically the character setup of this film. Yeah, Channing Tatum, who's just a rich guy. You have what's her name, Alice Sawkat, whatever how you pronounce her name.
Aaliyah
She's
Shawkat. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
who cares?
I don't know who this. I
But
just
it's
call her
like-
the other one.
She's there to literally be like the only person that has any kind of like ounce of concern, even though she still ended up on the island. So it's really her fault too. And then like go on here, Christian Slater's in the movie. Like he's just there to
Yay.
be
Dennis
the
Hopper.
older creepy guy.
His
Simon-
cosplay was amazing.
Like Simon Rex is in this film. I can't remember the last thing I've actually seen
He's
him
the
in.
porn
It's been
guy,
a while.
right?
Red Rocket. Yeah, I know him from Red Rocket, but yeah, he's been in a couple things there.
That's
Yeah,
all
I have
know
no
him, the
idea.
porn thing.
I never even watched that.
Yeah.
You had the Puerto Rican girl from Hitman, because obviously me and Rob just watched this movie. Now keep in mind, when I first saw her, I thought it was like Elisa Gonzalez. Like I thought that was the actress at first. Then I had to like Google to make sure. It's like, oh wait, that's not her at all. It's a completely different.
That
Woman.
oh yeah, that character. I think her name is Sarah. She was the reality
Survivor.
star of
Yeah.
Hot Survivor Babes. That was the name of the show. Hot Survivor Babes.
Yeah, woo.
Great writing by Zoe Kravitz there.
Like you couldn't come up with a better fake reality show name. Like it's
Well,
not
you're
that
supposed
hard.
to emphasize that the only reason anyone would watch is to see beautiful girls in skimpy clothes,
They weren't even beautiful.
climbing up and down trees. I mean,
That's right.
That would be ratings gold. That's Emmy award winning stuff there.
It's just like the Man Show. Hey, Haley Joel Osment's in this film. He's just there to be
Zach
the creepy
Galifianakis.
looking dude. Because he's basically like like a 30-year-old, like 14-year-old at this point. I mean,
Hey, that's my gimmick. Leave me alone.
like if he has some kind of medical condition, I'll apologize later. But that dude just looks weird. And then
Well,
we
no,
have
they made a joke about that because at one point he just said, "Shut up, I'm eating."
Mhm. And then, of course, you have Gina Davis, who, look, I'll say this, for a woman who's almost 70, doesn't look bad, but when she was talking throughout most of the movie, I thought to myself that she has, like, a speech impediment now, that I couldn't tell if, like, that was, like, her real voice, Or is that like the voice that she's putting on for like the movie? Like I honestly didn't know. So it's like I don't know. Is she doing like a voice or just the way that she speaks now? Because it's been a while since I've seen her.
She's starting to sound like Nancy Pelosi there a little bit. She's like, "How you doing, guys?"
There's this 20-year-old Family Guy bit where like the lights turned off and like they're just waiting to go to sleep, and Stewie's talking to Brian's like, "Hey, remember Gina Davis? She used to be in things. Now she's not in things anymore." And this was 20 years ago. And so, hey, I'm glad she's still working. I'm glad she's still out there. But yeah, she's seen better days.
Yeah,
Well,
it
I
was
just
like
assumed that the way she talked was the effect of the environment, shall we say?
like I said, it's been so long since I've seen Gina Davis in anything I legitimately didn't know. Like, did she have a stroke like recently? And like that's how she talks now. Because she sounded like what was it? Bruce Jenner in that South Park, right? Like bucker up, buckaroos, and like the whole time, like in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't see her in Cutthroat Island? That's one of the last.
It's in my to-be list right now. It's like from 1994, I think.
That's a good movie.
Cutthroat Island.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go. That's all. That's The Long Kiss Goodnight, I think. She was that.
Yeah, that's terrible. It was directed by her husband at the time, Rennie Harlan. Yeah, it's no good.
Yeah, and it was written by Shane Black, your favorite.
Yeah, I hate Shane Black. See, there you go. I just do not like him. So
what else has he written?
He's did the Lethal Weapon movies. He did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He did that fucking the Nice Guys movie that we both didn't really care for. Yeah.
He also did Iron Man 3. He did
which I didn't care for either.
I actually liked Iron Man 3 because I thought it was a great sort of metaphor for Osama bin Laden with the Mandalorian, but nobody else picked that up, so thank you. Thanks.
Oh yeah, well, we also forgot. He also did that Predator movie from 5 years ago that got completely nuked before it came out because Olivia Munn told everyone that, oh, by the way, a pedophile worked in our movie and the director okayed it the week the movie came out. So I was like, wait, what? God bless Olivia Munn. That's all I'm gonna say.
But seriously, they got a couple of 5s to be in this movie. I'm just like, this is supposed to be like a sex island thing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get more attractive women.
Nobody was attractive in this island at all. They all
like I said, the Puerto Rican actress is the hottest one in the entire film, and you think to yourself, okay, you're a billionaire who has your own island. Like, you can't get better looking chicks than this one. Like, you got the.
He didn't even get her. Jack didn't even get her.
That's because she was with Simon Rex. She was with the porn guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna go get a couple of New York 4s and bring them to my private island because they're gonna love it. Like, it's
don't worry, the Chicago 2s will fit right in.
It's like, yeah. Meanwhile, like Leonardo DiCaprio is like taking like the latest Victoria's Secret model onto his boat. Like, I don't think you guys live in real.
Yeah, when he was shooting some scenes. Yeah, when he was shooting some scenes here in El Paso, there was like a meme or a little comment on an Instagram showing that, all right, lock up your daughters. I mean, wait until Leo leaves. Like, if you're under 25, just stay at home.
I don't want to say that these women are visually unappealing because that would be mean. All I'm going to say is that when they walk past dogs, they bark at them. That's all I'm going to
say is if you're going to invite girls to an island, at least have them be at least 21. Like, after 25, don't invite them to your island.
There you go.
Yeah,
see, that's smart right there. That's just good
that's
way to go.
Sexist. That's not sexist. That's ageist. That's ageist.
Don't you understand that Zoe Kravitz watched a classic movie on TCM the other week, and that's how we got the shepherd's hats and the white fucking dresses so that they're lambs to slaughter?
Look, we need it. Look, if Channing Tatum or Haley Joel Osment want to have Judi Dench on their private sex island, who are we to judge? All right. If they want to go around with Maggie
movie
Smith,
critics, that's who.
Yeah, it's literally our job.
Especially with Dame Judi Dench.
Yes, if they can't get on by Maggie Smith, I mean, you just don't. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than Dame Maggie Smith.
What they implied though is that Gina Davis stuck around, which I mean, if that's where she's been for the past 20 years, I can see why she turned out that way.
Okay, you know what? I feel like that scene in The Office when Dwight has to reprimand everybody for saying that that a pregnant Helen Mirren in a swimsuit is the hottest thing ever. It's like, what is wrong with all of you people? That's like the thing that Rick just said. So yeah,
Helen Mirren was in Caligula, which is going to
yeah,
get
I know.
re-released.
Back in like the 70s. Yes.
Yeah, so no, I mean the Queen. I mean, we didn't find her in the Queen.
Silence! I kill you!
So here's where we really start getting off the rails here, because obviously Zoe Kravitz wants the audience to just indulge in like this mindless cycle of hedonism where it's just like, oh yeah, let's do drugs and let's smoke pot and then let's just go around and do LSD and frolic around like we're a bunch of retards who are
Remember
like,
Clockwork Orange? Remember Clockwork Orange? It's on an island now.
And like, here's the thing though, right? So you only need to do this a couple of times for the audience to kind of click, okay, something's clearly wrong here. Like you only need to do this like 1 or 2 times, because remember the whole setup here is that they're only supposed to be on this island for a few days, and clearly they've been there for much longer than a few days.
It felt much longer.
But the problem is that this whole cycle just went on for like 30 minutes to the point where it's like, is this just going to be like the whole movie? Like, you do understand that there's still like a plot that's supposed to happen here with this film, and we haven't gotten anywhere remotely near it yet, right?
Yeah, no, just like, come on, can we hurry this up? Like, I know something's cooking at my home. You have to hurry this up, please. I know.
Mm-hmm.
God, it was terrible. And they just wanted to keep showing me things that I don't care about.
So the only time that the plot actually does progress itself is when we get to a point where Jess here gets bit by like this yellow snake, as I like to call it, the Britney Spears snake from the VMAs back in 2000. That's what it reminded me of. So she gets bit by the snake and she's all freaking out. It's like, oh my God, am I gonna die? It's like, no, it's venomous, but you'll be fine. It's like, what? And they just like left her there, right? So she starts freaking out, obviously, and she's like, you know what? I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. And then our protagonist, who's supposed to be the good person here in this whole story, is like saying, like, I need you to just calm down. You're ruining this whole thing for me. Can you just relax? Because this is the only chance that I have to be with a rich billionaire. You're ruining it for me with your stupid snake bite and your paranoia. So
right
here we have the perfect
internal paranoia.
So this is, like I said, once again, a perfect representation of Me Too. Everyone knew exactly what was going on behind closed doors, but no one wanted to say anything, because if they said something, oh, it might ruin my spot. I might not be able to frolic with the billionaires and the people in power now. So, hey, look, I know something happened to you in that room over there, but you need to shut up about it, because if you ruin this for everyone, then it's going to ruin it for me too. Like, this is literally the entire Me Too allegory, and it only gets worse from here. And like I said, I don't even want to give Zoe the benefit of the doubt for saying that she did this on purpose, because I don't believe she's that smart. But what she did is that she unintentionally revealed to everyone with this film that everyone in the Me Too movement, specifically the women, are complete and utter hypocrites on every conceivable level. Am I going crazy there, or is that pretty much what you guys thought of with that scene too?
In this scene, it just made her look very selfish, because that's supposed to be her BFF, and she doesn't. That she's freaking out, got snake bit. It's like, oh no, no, you need to stay here and suffer physical harm, because I might still hook up with this guy, even though I haven't landed a deal for like months, apparently. Yeah, but I think you have to remember, in the end, they all joined forces and they're empowered. So no, it's not about it. No, you're off.
Yeah.
You're off.
After we figured out that a couple of them have died up to this point, it's like, yeah, this is probably the time that we should come together and try to figure out a way out of this whole mess.
Right.
But
how did I figure out an hour into it that they were poisoning everybody? Like, this is coming ridiculous. What's with this? I feel so.
Oh, the little drops.
But even then,
the drops were the clue.
The food,
the drops, and the drops and the spray and the food and the everything else. But then Maybe has to fucking die. Why does Maybe have to die? She's the only one I related to.
But this is even like the whole setup here of this film is like, oh my God, they're drugging us against our will. We thought this was just LSD, but it turns out it was something way worse than that. It's like, that's the problem. Like, you're just taking random drugs from this.
She's like, hey, anybody want to try this experimental? I love Christian Slater having to be the guy. Hey, anybody want to try this experimental drug? And of course, she's the one that puts her hand up immediately. Give me every one of the drugs, please.
How much is I'm supposed to take? The whole thing? It's like, no, let me do it before you kill yourself like an idiot.
That's bad when your potential abuser is trying to say, hey, listen, you need to calm down with the drugs, okay?
I mean, no wonder they think they can get away with it. These women are drugging themselves. They didn't even have to like coerce them. They didn't have to like put a gun to anyone's head or tell them, "Hey, we got your dog or your kid over here. If you don't do this, and something bad's gonna." They all did it to themselves.
They went to the island willingly. That's the part that it keeps bothering me. They went to the island willingly. No one forced them to go with people that they did not know. I mean,
but see, and this is the interesting thing about all of this, though, is that this mirrors reality in the sense that, look, I'm not saying that there aren't on many levels some fucked up shit that probably went on at Epstein Island, but a lot of those things, especially even, I mean, if you get whatever, people being interviewed, people being recorded, whatever, and talking about, which, you know, is almost non-existent, but it's like there are just things where people go to have a good time, and this kind of like plays it up where it's something nefarious is going on, but it's like you're putting yourself in this position, and while yes, these people shouldn't abuse you and shouldn't be doing things to you while you're unconscious, it's like you are ultimately responsible at a certain point for where you go, where you end up, and you know what happens because of it. I know, again, it's like, no, that's not your fault, somebody's doing that to you, but at a certain point it's like, when do you take responsibility for the situation?
Just because I did a bunch of drugs and got blackout drunk every single night that I've been on this island doesn't mean that someone should have taken advantage of me. It's like, do you not see the setup to this problem?
Right.
And ultimately, this entire movie is trying to just gaslight its audience into accepting this premise that this girl is like going through all this weird stuff and everything is so strange. It's because of misogyny, and it's because of race. Could they even do it like right after the hot girl figures it out? You don't understand. It's these men that have been doing it to us, and they're the ones. And we, like, literally, there was and this is what I hated in the movie, is they do the spot where the hot girl figures out that everyone's getting poisoned, right? And then for whatever reason, they decide to do stand-up comedy in the middle of it. It's this whole thing, and then she picks up the knife, and they're trying to make us seem like we're crazy. I don't know what happened in your theater. Everyone in my theater just busted up laughing. And I'm like, this is supposed to be an intentionally like hard thing to like watch. You're supposed to have felt bad this entire time for this girl because some horrible shit may have happened to her friend and her. And yet for some reason I'm getting a comedy moment because you need to break levity. Stop this. And then that's when the movie went downhill for me entirely.
Well, they had another comedy moment.
I wondered why. And then I wondered why did they just leave the place until the killer showed up?
I mean, the fact is that these girls are stupid. Like, I'm sorry. I know that, yes, there are evil people doing nefarious things. Absolutely. But the girls are fucking stupid because they want a free ride. They want this free ride without ever taking into consideration what the consequences might be. And that's the thing. They think that, oh, we should just be able to, you know, take lots of drugs and fuck around and whatever. And it's just a good time. And there's no cost to it. And it's like,
there's no consequences.
And Zoë Kravitz didn't write or direct the Batman, but she had that bullshit line about the hierarchy of white rich men. And here it's like she's writing a movie that's supposed to be critical of this hierarchy supposedly that exists, and yet it's women choosing willingly to go do this and then becoming benefiting financially at some point, I guess. Here
it's the accountability.
They get angry about it.
It's like, what are you talking about? It makes no sense.
it's the accountability problem, and this has been a major problem with women in our society. There's no accountability on their end for the situation that they found themselves in, right? And it's like, well, they shouldn't have been taking advantage. Okay, look, I can just walk down the worst part of Atlanta right now with like $500 in cash and single dollar bills stapled to my shirt and just walk down the worst neighborhood now. If somebody robs me, well, I can't just say, well, they shouldn't have robbed me. They shouldn't have put their hands on me. They should have known better. It's like, no, don't put yourself in dumb situations and then expect good outcomes. That's the entire purpose of this whole thing. But it's weird when it...
Jacob, you don't understand. These are young women, and he is hot. He has a lot of money, and he has an island, for God's sake.
Mhm.
Of course they're going to go with him.
Yeah.
This is how we
it's like
infantilize
They're
women.
32 for crying out loud.
It's literally like, you know, the scene in Die Hard with a Vengeance when Bruce Willis is sitting there with the "I hate niggers" sign like on the middle of the street, and like it's like literally being that person and then expecting black people to not attack you. It's like,
Right. And this is how we like, and this is a separate issue that you know, I have observed, where this is how we infantilize women, where these women expect that they should just kind of be able to go through life, do whatever the hell they want without ever taking into consideration, you know, the danger that they put themselves in. And again, yes, that those criminal elements, those manipulative tactics shouldn't exist, but they do. That's the whole thing.
yeah.
People need to live in a world that exists, not the one that you think should exist. Because again, that's just like living in a fantasy land, and you're always going to be disappointed by the outcome. So again, it's just like, I don't know. It's just very interesting that like none of that really comes into play in the movie.
And just real
that
quick,
part always bothered me. That idea that these women went willingly to this island. Though we get a bit of a twist, and I guess we'll talk about that later, about why they would go.
and just keep this in mind too. This is another big like logic problem here with this entire film, is that, you know, these aren't like, you know, 18-year-old, 17-year-old, like some impressionable young girl who just doesn't know better. All of these women are like in their mid-30s. So there's really no excuse for any of them. You're all basically middle-aged, and you all just went on this island.
Exactly. Where did we come up with the Love Boat goes to Wine Mom Island? What is this?
You're not some 19-year-old, like, you know, college, like, sophomore, just like, oh my god, a billionaire is taking me out to this island. I can't like you're not like some dumb kid. It's like you're old enough to know better. Like at some point you got to apply some responsibility and accountability for where you put yourself in, and at no point did this happen here.
Didn't Sarah, the hot one, the hot Latina there, didn't you say that she had been on that show for 22 years or 22 seasons or something like that? Which I thought that's an awful long time to be on this show.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a reality show. I would have,
and that was the thing too, because at first I thought that they were going to like try to set it up to where she was actually working with Channing Tatum, because you see them early on in the film and they're at the same benefit together. It looks like they know each other, and then she just admits later on in the film, it's like, oh, I don't actually know these people, you know.
It looked like she was getting jealous of Frida, and I thought, well, I don't believe.
See, because I thought what was going to happen was that as Frida was like starting to figure out what was going on, like they would have her character be there as sort of the ally to kind of like calm her down a little bit, only to reveal later on that she's basically working for like the group and she was in on it as well. But it's like, nope, she was
supposed to be Glistine Maxwell. Instead, it turned out to be Gina Davis.
Yeah, exactly. The old Gina Davis with the speech impediment. Yeah, that she was.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that Gina Davis, Glistine Maxwell trying to pick up 13-year-olds for Jeffrey?
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, you want to come to my ranch?
Oh no! I dropped the red envelopes again.
They never would have had the island.
Nope.
Well, I mean, if she ran around like trying to recruit the 13 or 14-year-old girls and say, yeah, you could see Haley Joel Osment as he is now, I don't think that would be a selling point. I can't get over that. I mean, again, if he is going to have some medical condition, that's not a good thing. I know someone who did gain a lot of weight because of that, but he's been heavy for a while. I don't know if it's a health condition or not, but it's still a very strange thing. And they do make a joke about his weight in the movie, so it's it's fair play if they bring it up.
That's another thing I like to point out. It seems like this entire movie, and it's kind of weird, especially when you go into what the ending turned into.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like this entire movie was written as a humiliation ritual. Like you have a guy called Slater King, and you got Christian. You literally have Christian Slater right down the table from him, right? So
Yeah.
this is his humiliation ritual, right? And he's got to be portrayed by this guy Jack, who is I think of him as Jack Dorsey, the guy who used to own Twitter. He looks just like him.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were going for, because you can kind of tell at the end they had to switch that around, and I think that's what they were switching it to. But like he has to humiliate himself through this whole thing. Like they try to put what's going on to the girls as a humiliation thing, which is why it turns into revengeance. But the entire thing is like a big humiliation ritual for guys. You have the crypto bro who can't stop talking about crypto bro, and he has a black eye, so that goes into that humiliation ritual.
Well, I figured a reason for that. It's because of the nightly rituals.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the storyline, but just like in general, like in a Boulez kind of, the Stanley Kubrick kind of eye. It really had like that kind of feeling where like all these guys were just figuring out different ways to get humiliated, and just like they did with Haley Joel Osment, they had no problem having Haley Joel Osment saying, "My wife left me and she has sex with my tennis coach, and I eat nothing but eggs all day," and like,
you can tell that Zoe was definitely trying to let off her sick, twisted feminist fantasy of revenge with this film, but we find out here, to the surprise of absolutely no one, and this is the reason why the film had a trigger warning to begin with, is that turns out that the men were drugging the women the entire time. None of the women were in on it. So they give him this, it was a Molly or LSD drug that they all start tripping on. And then when they're completely helpless, they take them to the room and they rape them all every single night. And this was going on for several days, right? And the men knew about it. So I guess they're in some kind of club, and there's this whole thing. It was like, it was weird. It was either the drugs that they were using or this perfume that they were using, which led to like, it's not, I can't even say it was temporary like memory loss, because like I said, I guess after every single day they just go back there not understanding like what had happened the night before. So you get like somewhat brief scenes of implied rape, and they was like, oh yeah, we need to put a trigger warning on this because women might be upset. It's like people are getting brutally murdered like in this film. It's like, yo, if you're not gonna put a trigger warning in for that, I don't think
that's also a lie, because that didn't happen either. That only happened.
Well, the way I understand it, the poisonous venom is what reawakens their memory.
The memory juice, the poison memory juice.
Yeah, the plot mechanics of this fucking movie are so lazy and so unbelievably retarded. And please excuse me. I try not to overuse that word, but really, it's so fucking stupid. Hey, there's this magical flower, and that's the key
vagina
here,
flower.
The venom. Oh, venom's good for you. Hey, God, it's like the devil. By the way, this is like the devil communicating with, and I'm an atheist, and it's like, hey guys, trust snakes. Snake venom is good. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So yeah, just
like literally the magic MacGuffin in this movie is snake venom, and they just keep. And so at one point they make like some kind of tequila shots out of the snake venom, and because they're all dumb drunk idiots, they just start like downing them down like they're just glasses of water to the point like I'm pretty sure at some point you would have died. Like you would have like completely like wrecked your insides. You would have just like completely.
Hey, they even got Gina Davis to join in the shot.
Yeah. Even Gina Davis was like, "Hey, girls, you want to have a couple of drinks? It's okay." Like, and then like they were trying to, on top of the poison memory juice, which arguably was just like, what poison memory? There was on top of that like all of this other like, how are we gonna, the vaping and the like I said, the perfume and the food, like everything was just telling you, hey, guess what? This stuff's poison. And it was just like everything's red. Like, come on, like, what are we? I'm serious. She watched the Stanley Kubrick documentary, and she was like, "Oh, I could use that." And I hate her sweeping shots that she thought were so brilliant. Her sweeping close-ups. Oh,
She
You can tell. Hey, real quick, you can tell.
Capra movie.
You can not even that, but you can tell that Zoe Kravitz has watched a couple of Jordan Peele movies. You can tell that, like, some of the establishing shots, she was directly like ripping off like Jordan Peele in both like Get Out and Us, with kind of like the creepy realization of like, oh no, the black woman realizes that something's wrong here in this story. Like, it's literally like tit for tat the same thing from his movies.
And then the super hyper focus on the face to like.
I did know that
literally try to Cooperify it.
Yeah, I did know that there were that she loved close-ups. It's like constant close-ups on a lot of these actors. It's like,
get an actual beautiful subject, and then you can do close-ups.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get a more beautiful. You can't get a more beautiful shot than Channing Tatum. How dare you, sir?
Douchebag.
But by the way, just real quick, this chick here, the third one to the right over here, assuming
the bad bitch.
The bad bitch, right? She looks biracial, like she's half black and half white, but apparently she's from like the Dominican Republic, but she's also from New York. So she's literally like the worst of all worlds in this movie. I don't care, like, with the concept and the whole thing of this. They would have killed her first because she is annoying as shit in the entire movie. Like, even in the scene where it's like before, they click her memory or whatnot, she's sitting here giving this speech talking about, just let me know if anyone's messed with you because I'm afraid to fuck somebody up. It's just like, oh my god, they would have killed her. Like, she would have been like missing like day one. Like, there's no way they would have put up with her.
My favorite part is you can see every other girl like running away from their predators, right? They're all trying to run away or they've been captured. They're all getting raped and sodomized. Mm-hmm. She's the only one that's tied to a fucking tree. Don't touch me! No, nobody's looking at her.
Nobody wanted to touch her at all. It's like tie her to a tree and put her over there.
Well, to be fair, I thought that she was meant for the crypto guy because it looked like there were like five men, 5 women. So I figured there would be one for each that they would manhandle.
I thought he was because she killed Zach Galifianakis. I thought that she was for him, which is why it was weird that he was like the first one to go because he was like the nicest guy. He was the most open guy. He was the soy boy of the entire thing. He was the male feminist of the entire group. Opening up
which means he had to die first.
Zach Galifianakis.
Wait, I don't remember Zach Galifianakis in this. Are you talking about
Joel?
Yeah, okay, that's yeah, he does. Yep.
So now we're at the point here where, like I said, they know what's going on.
By the way, that means that Zoe Kravitz during her Kubrick marathon, she threw in the Hangover every once in a while so that she could capture some of its jokes, like holding up a knife and saying, "I'm not crazy."
I know you're joking about the whole like Kubrick thing. Stanley Kubrick is actually my favorite filmmaker of all time because I think because he really was a master of composition and of using the frame and of just how he set up shots, and it was so intelligent. She's a moron. So I mean, I know that children like to imitate.
But
you can copy it, but you can't shape it. That's
the number one. Real quick, the number one rookie mistake of every first-time filmmaker is that they go out trying to make the best movie that anyone has ever seen on their first go, and it's like it never works. Work on making a competent movie first, and then work your way up to making the greatest movie ever. You have to know what you're actually doing first.
Didn't you absorb the Kubrick-esque symbolism when Channing Tatum was chasing her across that beautiful wide shot of the longhouse, and they're running across the field, and it's supposed to be nice and innocent that you're supposed to think at the beginning of the movie, but it turns out he's going to go rape her. Wow, Stanley Kubrick, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right moment. I don't know if this is the right moment to mention that. Are we going to get to the twist that this has been a repeated occurrence?
You're right.
Yeah, so when we get to this monologue scene where, like I said, the girls are now trying to get revenge on the men. Some of them die, some of them, get hacked up. It is what it is. So we get Frida.
I didn't
That's
want,
not a
that's,
good shot.
Yeah,
That's not
she
a
looks
good
like
shot.
Tony Atlas.
That's awful.
She looks like Tony Atlas.
Oh my god, she doesn't like Tony Atlas. And Tony Atlas like with a short wig on.
Right? Yeah.
That's brutal,
Jada
dude.
Pinkett Smith's wig. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think she's only 31. Like she's not even that old either, which is
That's
also
brutal, dude. You guys remember
Yeah.
Fantasia, like the American Idol winner?
Yes,
Mhm.
she was in The
That's-
Color Purple. Remember?
I don't.
But we're
'cause I
but we're
didn't watch
supposed
it.
to believe, and this is where logic hurts too, because so what happened was that Channing Tatum finally reveals like the whole like get setup or whatnot, right? And it comes to find out that she was actually on this island before. Like he had actually kidnapped her, I think like a couple of years before this whole thing went on, and somehow she just completely forgot about it. Had no recollection that she had already been on this island before and whatnot. Because he had mentioned like in a scene earlier, it's like, oh, how'd you get that scar on your eye? It's like, oh, I don't know. They come to find out that no, she was
Guru
the
production.
And
Yeah,
that's how she got the name Red Rabbit. Remember?
hey, look, they put it in the movie. Don't get mad at me. It's in the film. So-
By the way, the Red Rabbit thing. She also watched
Mm.
Game of Thrones and she liked Hodor, so she thought the Indian woman should be doing the same thing Hodor was doing the whole time.
I just thought she was listening to the Jefferson Airplane before making this movie, and she just thought to herself, "Oh, you'll be clever."
She was binging Dexter season 5 while this was all going on too. So you had to get
Yeah.
the plot going.
So Channing Tatum, like this is Channing Tatum's, acting scene. This is where he tries to be like a serious actor now. So he sits.
He gets to be Christian Slater in front of Christian
Mhm.
Slater.
So they're trying to make some kind of point about like forgiveness. And it's like, oh, there's no such thing as forgiveness. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And he just goes on like just saying I'm sorry for like 2 straight minutes. And it's supposed to be like, oh my god, he's really tearing it up here on this scene.
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
just thinking to
Did
myself,
your
oh god.
audience laugh?
No, you know what? I actually wrote "I'm sorry" - comical because I thought this was just so
What?
funny. It's like
Mhm.
he's just going on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm
But I know
sorry.
he's not. I'm going. Yeah, you're not acting.
He thought he was having his Daniel Day-Lewis moment of like, I've abandoned my child. Like he thought he was having that moment in the film, and it's like, no, you're not at all.
But that's the thing. Channing Tatum can't act. The only thing he knows how to do is take his clothes off. That's his whole talent.
Which
I
he
mean-
didn't do very much in this movie either. This movie
Mhm.
did not deliver at all.
But no, I mean, we saw him in Deadpool with that ridiculous over-the-top Cajun accent that made Daniel Craig look downright restrained. And so now we have this. What I mean, is his career that bad that he has to do? Okay, so he's sleeping
you
with
see
the
what I-
director. Okay, I grant that. But no, it was terrible.
You see what I mean by this might have been a humiliation ritual? Like, it's weird. Like, I'm not trying to be Illuminati about it, but
There was a little ode to secret societies in this film if you were paying attention. So it was certainly there, but
He's
yeah.
got
So
the raw passes there.
Well, I mean,
yellow.
look, and I don't know anything about humiliation rituals, honestly, but I will say this: the one movie Simon Rex was in before this, if they exist, that was his. Okay, so
Mhm.
you know what I mean. Like
I'm just
I don't know about this.
And you ever notice all the humiliation rituals are all done under the vase of comedy? Oh, it's just
Right.
jokes, people.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that
I didn't-
is a humiliation ritual when they have, according to your theory, black men donning drag?
Absolutely.
It is weird how much that happens, though. Like if you look at
Absolutely.
every black entertainer, performer, or whatever, going
Especially
back to like the
comedian.
70s,
Yep.
it's very weird how many of them have been in drag. But then that's also a part of comedy, so it's one of those things they can just be like, "What? It's just a."
What?
It's
a
just
That's how they get him to do it. It's like, oh, it'll be funny if you put on a
Yeah.
dress.
completely different
It's an
kind of
old
disco
and it
show.
is an old comic trope. I mean, that literally goes back to I don't even know when.
Probably
men
Shakespeare.
probably.
Older than that,
But
older
yeah,
than that.
so I ultimately I'm just like, I try to notice things and jot it down.
No, it's really I'd like to believe that Zoe. Sometimes I like to when I go to sleep, I like to dream that Zoe Kravitz might have some creativity, and so she might have put this stuff in intentionally. So, I get to be an Easter egg guy and scurry through her movie and find all these little lovely psychologically damaging Easter eggs, and I don't know. I don't like eggs being thrown at me. Maybe because I identified with Zach Galifianakis also.
Yeah,
But
because he's the one eating them.
right. So this,
Well, my question is, and I wrote this down. So they abduct the same women every year. I mean, it just seems rather pointless to just keep grabbing the same women and to do this to. I mean, I would have thought that they would have just picked different women every year.
More attractive women.
Well,
Do they
beauty's in
not
the eye
know
of
how
the
sex trafficking works? Like it's incredibly illegal. Just kill them and get new ones. It's not
But
that
he's
hard,
a-
guys. Like
he's a billionaire with an
and
island.
get some attractive ones next time. Okay?
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of impoverished hotties out there. Okay, I'm just kidding.
And
I'm
I don't know.
just joking. I can't.
And that's
judging by the film, it looks like all of these women would have been fine being their willing mistresses. Frida looked like she would have been thrilled to have been Slater King's long-term mistress. I don't understand why we had to go through.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like they're desperately trying to present the women here as victims. Let's be very honest here. Even if they weren't doing anything nefarious on this island, it's like you don't have to drug women who have essentially decided that they're going to go on a billionaire's private island. That they're going to have sex with them without you like having to like drug them or bring them any false pretenses. There, it's like if you have money and you have your own island, like they've already agreed up to this point. It's like you don't have to like the whole thing is just completely nonsensical when it comes down to it. It's like they're trying to make an allegory here to Me Too and talk about the male power structure and how female have to have the power back. And this is what gets us into this completely asinine, stupid ending here. It's like just to cement how, like I said, our main character here is just as big as a piece of crap as Channing Tatum is.
Now, before we go into that, let's talk about the changing of genres that this movie decided to do, because I thought this was supposed to be like a horror movie, and then for whatever reason, it started turning to a Avenger movie.
Yeah.
And then like all of this other stuff, like
they call it a psychological thriller.
Yeah, she literally threw a Netflix playlist at the end for the last 45 minutes. Like there was so many different types of movies she wanted to go for. Like it reminded me of that one movie that we watched for the movie night, where the bus broke down and all the girls were trying to run away from the hillbillies.
Oh yeah, Blood Games.
Yeah, it's exactly like that kind of a movie it turned into, because they gotta cure the other two girls so that they can go psycho, I guess. And I mean, they didn't help at all. But
no.
And then she's supposed to be a survivalist, but then she uses all of her bullets to open up the lock. What?
Well, I don't think that in Hot Survivor Babes they were doing a lot of shooting, to be fair.
So she kills the Marine, which yeah, okay, and then she kills the other guy, and then all of a sudden it's like when it comes to Channing Tatum, she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna empty my clip into the door because I can't just open it like a normal person and like, just end all of this, right?
Don't you realize that right next door there's a giant. By the way, let's put out, like Rob said, the terrible symbolism that goes on here. There's a giant black dick monument over in the corner. Don't worry about that. We're not gonna fucking focus on that.
They even did like they even did a little tease to it like earlier in the film, like when it moved. It's like, oh, this is gonna be important later on in this movie. It's like, yeah, pay attention to the black dick statue.
The giant black dick monument in the corner.
But no, so
not that the Clockwork Orange homage or anything.
The ending of this film is that, the whole gig is up. Channing Tatum has been exposed. Christian Slater is paralyzed over on the couch that's about to burn to the ground. And they have like one shot. Yeah, right. So this is her one shot of finally ending all of this and killing Tatum and getting out of there with their lives. But she decides at the very last minute, no, you know what? I'm going to keep you alive, because now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to blank your memory now, and you're going to be my new husband, and I'm going to essentially be the rich and powerful one through you. So the ending of this film now is that they're back at the same location that they started this film at, the same banquet gala Illuminati meeting, and now she's the one sitting at the table.
She turned into Marshall. She turned into Merkel over fucking Terry. She even turned into a haircut like Merkel too. I can't remember her name. What's her name?
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle. She turned into her. She turns
Duchess
to her and
of
Candace
Sussex.
Owens at the same time.
So now all of a sudden she decides, yeah, now I'm going to be the head bitch in charge. So now I'm the one with all the power. So now you can play the James Brown music. And guess what? I'm the boss now. And that's how the movie ends. So it's like, so like I said, it goes to show you they didn't care about anything that happened to any of the women on this entire island. What they were complaining about was the power structure. Why should the men have all the power? We're the ones that need to have all the power. So all they did was flip the power structure, and it's the exact same system. And that is textbook exactly what happened with Hollywood over the last 10 years. And this is the whole point of the entire film.
And no one's going to ask what happened to Jessie. Like, she was murdered. I mean, she was killed, and like, we're not going to even bother mentioning that ever again.
Nope. Yeah, you murdered my best friend by
got screwed.
You murdered my best friend by snapping her leg like a Mortal Kombat character, but it's like, I'm going to look past that now because your name still has power and value, so that's what I'm going to use to my advantage.
And they're never going to look for her. They're never going to ask, hey, whatever happened to your BFF or this girl? I guess she's just disappeared on like, I don't know.
And
no
horror. This is a horror movie, but I think it's very funny that Zoe Kravitz's impression of service workers in LA or New York or wherever, where it's like, oh yeah, they're disposable. No one's gonna miss her.
Yeah,
they're all replaceable.
No one's gonna inquire.
That's why they call her maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the movie. All the girls except for the Puerto Rican girl dies. Channing Tatum is basically the black girl's mindless slave, and we think Christian Slater burned to death somewhere on that compound. And that's the end of the film.
In fairness,
By the way,
isn't Channing Tatum really the black girl slave in real life?
I mean, maybe. Which I don't know if that's a great indication for the health of their relationship.
We're converting Rick.
I mean,
Rick
no,
I'm just leaving in the Illuminati right after this.
No, I'm just curious. So does this mean that she will now kidnap impressionable men to take on her mysterious island
she's the chick that runs Disney, Leslie Hyland or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Yep. And like I said, he's basically there. It's like, oh, I'm so brain dead now. I don't even know how to use a fork anymore.
This is how she controls Chris Hemsworth right now. And notice that he kind of looks like Thor in the movie.
Oh yeah,
symbolism.
And with the ending, all of the stuff that is being presented about, like the Jeffrey Epstein Island and this guy, and the apologies are hollow, and he doesn't care, and he's just going to keep doing it, even if he has to apologize. He'll just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. So, and then you have that ending, which sort of just undercuts everything, which is just like, oh, well, she's going to take control of this corrupt system now, and things are going to, and it's like, okay, why did you even present that information if it wasn't going to be, you know what I mean? Like if it was just like this useless plot device. It was the whole movie is a misguided sort of execution, but that ending is the cherry on top of, oh, this is a giant piece of shit. Okay.
It was supposed to be an applause break. I think she thought that everyone was supposed to stand up and applaud. Oh my God, the woman took back the power and they can now control the man.
Yes, queen.
But to even here's the thing. Obviously, it needed to be written better anyway from just a starting point. But Channing Tatum isn't even a compelling villain. He's not even like I need more sadism. Okay, I need more. I need more of a sicko character. Okay.
The part that angered me the most, and this, I know this sounds kind of weird but thank God Rob just said it because I don't feel weird saying it now. The only time they actually showed any kind of menacing behavior on Channing Tatum is when he's choking out the fat Puerto Rican, right? When he's stepping on her throat. But all they do is show Channing Tatum. I don't get to see this girl's last breath or whatever, any real connection to see that Channing Tatum's a sick puppy in this movie that he's supposed to be.
Well,
but no, he's fucking just looking down. What this girl can't act.
This might actually be an allegory here. You've got a kind of brain dead white guy who's overthrown by the strong black female.
And by the way, literally the last...
You got the Kamala Harris, Joe Biden situation there.
Yeah, and look, literally the entire not even kidding. The ending shot to this film is like the entire Illuminati party here clapping and applauding this strong, powerful black woman who's now the head of the table of this evil, sinister organization. And then it's like it literally fades to black.
It's a
All because
perfect
her
movie
husband
for
slipped- all
the
because her husband
inevitable
slipped on-
presidency of Kamala.
All because her husband slipped on a banana peel, Dick Van Dyke style, and took himself out.
Yep. So there you go. And I don't even think we ever actually got an explanation to why Channing Tatum was doing all this to begin with. So I guess our implication is that he's just evil, maybe because he's
a
rich and
billionaire
white.
and he has
He's
an
a rich white guy.
Mhm.
I guess that would be the I guess explanation. I mean, we just assumed that there was some sort of. Remember, we're not told exactly what he did that got him into all that trouble and having to do an apology tour and all of that. We never
Sex
got
stuff.
Well, we never got a specific charge. We never got a specific
Why
thing
was
that he did.
why was
To be fair, Army Hammer didn't really do anything. He just texted creepy shit. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
suggested
I just
that he
wanna-
was a cannibal.
Army Hammer may or may not have been a part of a cannibalistic cabal, but outside of that, he didn't do anything.
might have been.
You should have
I
been
just think
canceled
it's
just
funny
for
that
the
he got
Lone Ranger,
canceled for
okay?
sending,
You should have
like-
just been canceled for that.
Mhm.
Texts. But
Army Hammer may or may not have eaten a few people in his life, but I mean,
See, that was another thing. They were like, I don't read red meat, and then they're supposed to make you imply, oh, maybe they're cannibals. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
is kind of interesting.
yeah, they implied that could have been a tease. It's like, hey, maybe they're just fucking
That
eating
was
people.
another
It was
thing.
like,
It was just tease after tease after tease. It really was a feminist movie. Tease after tease, and no clothes came off. What am I? There was no nudity in a movie that was rated R and supposed to give me a trigger warning.
yeah.
Oh my
What
So
the
god.
there you
hell?
go.
I did like the woman from Hitman or whatever. I do think she's beautiful, but yeah, there was really not much to look at here either.
Yeah, apparently, she's banging Jason Momoa now. So,
Okay.
ironically enough, Jason Momoa, who was dating Zoe Kravitz's mother, is the girlfriend. His new girlfriend is in a movie directed by his daughter. So
Oh,
there
boy.
you go.
I'm very happy for
In
Jason.
fairness, Rob, we aren't supposed to be looking at the beautiful women. All right,
It's
that
a
would be
movie,
the-
so
it
no,
would be
you're
the male-
wrong.
No,
It's
that,
a
that
movie,
would
so
be,
you're
That
wrong.
would be the male gaze. And
That would be
we can't have
triggering.
the male gaze. It has to
There was
be
a little
on
bit
top.
kind of when Zoe Kravitz was doing the like tracking shot of the woman, like her gesture. I was like, okay, that's not bad. But
You
that
got like
was
one
it.
butt shot. You got one butt shot in the entire film, and then
Yeah.
let's be honest, the other 4 or 5 women who were on this island, you really didn't want to see them naked. So I mean,
You didn't
it
want to
is
see
what
Gina
it
Davis
is.
naked? How dare you, sir? There is one thing. Eddie mentioned something about inserting the comedy. Remember when she's supposed to be in this very tense moment and she's trying to break into the lock break the lock to find the phones to get them out.
Yes,
And they
yes.
have that whole comedy routine about I'm gonna smoke a big
Big.
blunt.
That was another comedy bit where the
Get
entire audience
weed,
was laughing.
guys, because weed is cool.
Yeah, I mean it's not just
Blunts
that.
are gross though. They taste like shit. Anyway.
But no, I wouldn't know. I've never smoked in my life. I would
Uh-huh.
just say that it just seemed strange to insert that kind of comedy bit, and I don't know if she could hear it all the way from where they were, from across the pool, all that distance. A lot of it didn't seem to hold up, and we didn't even mention Kyle MacLachlan. What was his being
God.
there?
He was the owner, I think, or something.
Oh, was
like,
he
'cause
the
his
owner?
Name...
But he got the little gift bag, the parting gift bag.
He was a
and that
psychiatrist.
Well, yeah, because that was the whole like they're gonna
He was
take
a-
the perfume to other places so they can,
Yeah.
drug other women. That was
Well,
the whole.
then why do they need to lure all these women to this?
I know
mysterious
it doesn't make
island?
any sense, Rick. It's a badly made movie. The script is bad. It's poorly directed. It is this Me Too feminist fucking horse shit on top of being completely, completely immoral. It's like we're going to point out that these men are exploiting women, and then I'm gonna have the main character benefit off that exploitation, as if to say that this whole system corrupts by being a part of it. I mean, literally, like I don't even know what the thing is supposed to be that Zoe Kravitz is attempting to say here.
Here's the message of the movie.
No,
It's good when we do it.
That's
the message of the
That's
film.
what the trigger warning was for. The trigger warning was for guys like us to go, how in the world did this bitch make it all the way to the front? And then we realize, oh, it's because she's just as ruthless and dedicated to evil as the rest of them.
Mhm.
Again, I just
That's
want
what
to
the
say
trigger warning was
I
for.
didn't see it. I didn't see a trigger warning at the screening that I went to. I don't know if it's because it was an early screening or maybe because they were just taking up too much time showing us Channing Tatum telling us to turn our cell phones off. But just yeah, I don't know why my screening did not have a trigger warning. Well, all of you did.
I guess they didn't give a crap about you. That's pretty much where.
Over in El Paso, yeah.
Well,
Well,
no, yeah, probably.
well, especially El Paso. But
Yeah.
final thoughts of this movie. Like I said, this is just pure unadulterated garbage. I will say this though, it wasn't bad enough to make my top 10. There's still a whole bunch of other worse crap that I've seen so far this year, but this is definitely on the lower end of the stuff that I've seen. Zoe Kravitz, I don't know who gave her a $20 million deal to make this film. They pretty sure to save your money. This isn't going to do anything. I'm going to give this film a 1.5 out of 5. That's my rating. Rob, what do you give it?
Yeah, that's exactly what mine is too. 1.5 out of 5. Yeah, I pretty much just already summed it up with my last little mini rant there. But yeah, this is bad on pretty much every level. I think it actually has a decent cast. It looks okay. It doesn't look terrible. Kind of, good location. Obviously, hey, you have some good equipment, but there's just no brains behind the camera, the script, the performances being directed. It's a pretty empty movie, and on top of it, the ending is just insults your intelligence. So I was just hoping for kind of a fun thriller. Even if it's not exactly like Epstein Island, at least it plays with that material because we all were pretty gaslit through that whole experience of like, oh, he hung himself. Okay, that's what happened. So I think anybody that's been paying attention to like news stories the last 5 to 7 years is at least curious about this movie in terms of like what it says, where it goes, and it was just a giant disappointment. It was really the most bland, and again, just insult the easiest way to like insult the most people's intelligence. It's just kind of dead on arrival. So yeah, 1.5 out of 5.
Rick?
I was gonna say I was gonna say the same as you guys. It's probably 1.5. It is better than Argyle. One thing I will say is that there was a line somewhere about that women have been taught to compete against each other when we should be working together. And I'm thinking I don't know if that's the case. I've been told constantly that women actually work well together and that men competing with each other is one of the problems of the world. But in terms of the film itself, it was poorly acted overall. It was poorly directed. There was just an obsession with close-ups that I just could not fathom, and there were several things about the plot overall that just didn't make any sense to me. Starting from two women willingly going off to an island, just abandoning their jobs, abandoning everything to run off to a mysterious island with someone that they did not know, all the way down to the idea that these guys are going to abduct the same women every year or repeatedly when for me that just doesn't make any sense, and it's not a support of abducting women. All right, like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, you should not be abducting women and holding them hostage. Apologies to the people at Turner Classic Movies who believe that that's the lesson I drew from Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. This movie's not well acted, it's not well directed, it's not well written, and we can blame one person for that. So it's a 1.5, but it's still better than Argyle.
Eddie, what's your final thoughts on this movie?
Um, I have to give it a 1.5. Also, I wish I could give it less, but at least they put in an effort to try to put something onto a movie screen, and you got to give it something for that, right? I mean, they spent $20 million. That's jobs created, so there's a net benefit in a small way. Granted, they're all union jobs, but no, it's a terrible movie. It's really, really badly written. I don't like watching psychological horror thrillers that I can figure out literally less than an hour into the movie. I don't like overuse of the symbolism. I thought it was really, really amateurish. And um, yeah, I got to, if there's benefits, let's give a thumbs up to Zoe Kravitz for humanizing and heroing up Ghislaine Maxwell and Will Smith's wife and Meghan Markle, because apparently those are the women that Zoe Kravitz wants to uplift and make into heroes in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like to point out that since I'm writing a movie with Epstein's Island light in it, it's a really good example of what not to do. So I was really, really scared going into it because I was like, oh, they're going to be Epstein's Island. What are they going to do? Are they going to try to copy me? But no, I have talent. So no, this is bad movie, and in general, I'm happy I'm never going to see it again.
I would just take one point with Eddie. It would be heroines, not heroes.
No,
they were doing heroin. That's
that as well.
Well, that explains Catwoman.
Yeah, I think it's actors just like it's heroes, because it doesn't matter. Who cares?
I still say aviatrix.
And it's just comedians, whether you're a man or a woman. Okay.
No, I would say comedian. Sorry, I still
okay.
Go with
Well,
that.
I'm sorry that you're wrong.
Poetess, aviatrix, comedian.
Maybe this guy should be the basis of like a. Maybe this guy should be the basis of a sequel for Blink Twice.
I don't have time. Hey, where boss? Boss, where? Go buy coffee. You work here?
Go buy coffee.
Yes, I'm the owner.
You own this?
Yes, I do.
What is most expensive?
What is your budget?
Small budget I have, but not too much. What you have?
The most expensive SF90.
This?
Yes.
How much?
2.2 million dirham.
Dirham?
Yes, dirham.
I need more. I need expensive, brother. I don't need this. Is what my driver will drive this? Show me one expensive car.
Everything's for sale, brother.
What? Everything, no problem. But hey, Captain, you work here? Go take coffee. What is this?
Don't turn
LDR rate.
Give me this, and this one also.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
Give me that Mercedes, okay? This Rolls Royce, and give me one Red Bull also.
No problem.
You have Red Bull?
Red Bull for free.
No, take money, no problem. Keep the change.
That'd probably be a far more entertaining movie.
They're gonna get the gas. They're gonna get the gas and everything else by sucking the exhaust pipe, and that's how they're gonna end up in the islands. They're gonna
Blink Twice 2. Blink Twice 2 is going to take place in Dubai. There's going to be a bunch of Saudi princes crapping on Instagram models.
Blink thrice. Blink thrice.
Before anything, can we figure out the two weirdest plot points? One, or plot holes. One, why was Christian Slater taking all those pictures?
Making memories.
Yeah, that's literally called creating evidence. That's
Right. And two, why in the world was it called Blink Twice?
Because it's a sign of danger.
For what?
Because they couldn't call it Pussy Island. That's literally the reason why they did it.
If you remember early on when she meets Kyle MacLachlan, when Frida meets Rich, he apparently he blinks twice, and she says, "Blink twice." Oh, that's a sign of danger. That's a sign that you're in danger, so. I guess we're supposed to draw from the fact that
I'm never going to watch this movie again.
I'm assuming that this is how he remembers her from past encounters, but of course she does not remember him because she's already using the Desideria perfume, which I guess he should market that and people would forget all sorts of things instead of holding it.
Just to bring it back with Arrested Development, this is like when Job gives himself roofies. And he keeps forgetting that he gives himself roofies. And he keeps forgetting that he gives himself roofies.
I made a terrible mistake.
I've made a terrible mistake.
Well, yeah, that was Blink Twice. So somebody asked, I think Maurice just asked, are you better off watching this movie or The Crow? Well, consider the fact we won't review The Crow until this Tuesday. We can't answer that question right now, but I mean, the reviews that we heard have not been very good.
I actually think this would be better. I think you would be better watching. I kept calling it "Don't Blink."
Me too. Exactly. I did too. I was like, "Don't blink, blink twice." Blinking all the time. What? What?
Yeah.
Blink 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I literally got my eyes open, trying to find something interesting to look at.
I would just say Blink Twice is actually better than the Crow, which I saw a few hours ago.
That's not a good sign, but we'll talk about that film in more detail on Tuesday. So let's go ahead and wrap this up and let you guys promote anything you guys got coming up. We'll start with Eddie.
Yeah. So I have like the first three scenes written. I'm trying to figure out. I'm glad I really did watch this movie because I'm having like a lot of problems trying to come up with humiliation rituals, and like this kind of gave me a couple of ideas of where to go with it, and I'm kind of happy in a way. I guess that's where my 1 star comes from. I wanted to say is I got to watch a movie that gave me ideas for humiliation rituals, which I wouldn't have gotten unless the CIA wants to follow my Google cache. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that happened. Follow me on Twitter, Eddie Brock _YT.
Ooh. What else we got here? Rick, what do you got coming up?
Well, I'm fortunately finally finishing up my Summer Under the Stars series. So just got a few more reviews that are set to publish. I will be writing reviews on Blink Twice, The Crow, The First Omen. So I will be finishing up my Omen retrospective. Pretty soon, I plan to have a retrospective on 4 versions of The Mummy. So that's gonna be coming up for October, and yeah, just more reviews of other movies and TV shows. So yeah, and trying to find a movie worse than Argyle. That's my goal for the year.
I mean, you've seen like at least 5 of them. I know that for a fact. But outside of that, Rob, what you got coming up?
Yeah, so I actually got some reviews out this week. I did Arthur the King, and I also did Love Lies Bleeding. So those are available on my Twitter as well as my letterbox. The links are there, so pretty easy to find. I'm gonna try to keep getting reviews out just because I'm pretty behind. I think I have 8 or 9 to do, but it's been an okay year, for movies. I don't know. This movie this past week was not good at all, but I'm excited for football season, which is kicking off very soon, and I always try to watch Any Given Sunday before the season starts and ends, just because it's my favorite professional football movie. I will be doing a podcast on it next week, and I'll put the date and time up on my Twitter just because I'm not sure when that is. And then you can always find my YouTube. It's just Rob Motto Movies, all one word. And yeah, just that's where to go to see my podcasts, and my Twitter is pretty much where I put my reviews. So just check it out.
All right. Let you know what we got coming up. What were you gonna say?
No. I just wanted to know if Rob liked Friday Night Lights.
It seemed gay and cringe, so I never watched it. Like, high school football seems like the most lackadaisical, like, I don't, you know what I mean? Small town, small time. Like, really? This is what you care about? Okay. So, no, I never watched it. I've heard really good things though from people that have seen it, so I should probably not be so judgmental.
We should probably take you to a high school game in Texas and then see if that doesn't change your mind.
Yeah,
You get killed.
right. That's yeah. I definitely belong there.
Yeah, no. Texas, even El Paso, Texas football would be close to that Friday Night Lights.
Okay,
We're
yeah, that's
pretty
great.
isolated.
What is that gay thing? Like full hearts, open eyes, can't. I don't know. It's so stupid. I can't even remember it. But yeah, I'm done.
No, hook 'em horn, roll tide. Who cares? What else coming up here? There won't be a show next week.
Trees? Are you going to be poisoning any trees?
Now you're gonna make me rant about the fact that Stanford's in the athletic conference. It's like that makes football's crust. No show next Friday because I'm gonna be out of town, so will not be a Friday night show next week. But there will be a Barroom this Tuesday night. Sunday, which will be my next show, will be The Bible Ends. We'll be talking about the problems with the pre-wrath rapture and whether actually pre-wrath is actually setting the world up for the false prophet. So that'll be a deep dive for Sunday. Got some reviews coming up for Bounding over the next couple of days. You'll be seeing them on there. Got a couple more movies to watch before the weekend is up. So, yeah, you'll be seeing me there. I'm going to try to take a little bit of a break here before next week, so I'm heading out of town for Labor Day, and that'll be a good time to take just a little bit of a break before coming back here and doing this whole thing again. So, for all you guys who joined us here, thank you very much for joining me on the show. Shout out to Spencer, Leslie Tarkin, Maurice Johnson, Keith for joining us here tonight, listening to our show. Until then, we will see you guys next time on the show. I don't have a new fancy intro for the movie show, so I'll just go ahead and play the regular general intro. Adios, goodbye, and good night.
It's over. Go home. Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out! You get the hell out!
Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.